Before we continue on with our regularly scheduled paradox episodes, I feel like we need to pause and have a bit of a discussion. You see, most of my episodes are relying on a base assumption, an assumption that in everyday conversation and even in conversations online gets people to at least look at me with a bit of skepticism, if not outright scoffing at me. See, the assumption that I'm saying is that the Bible is testable. But the assumption that I get back from most people is that the Bible isn't testable. It's just a bunch of stories. How could it be testable? Or maybe they'll say something softer, like it's history, but it's filled with a whole bunch of myth. And I understand why that sounds reasonable, at least on the surface. But you can test that too. First, we need to answer the question, what do we mean by testable? A test, at least as we understand it scientifically, is not magic. It's simple, really. You make a claim about reality, and then, in a controlled environment, you change a variable. If your claim about reality is solid, then changing the variable should produce reliable, predictable outcomes based off of changing that variable. That's it. That's all there is to it. But the thing that most people seem to forget, or at least misjudge, is that you don't have to be making a material claim in order to have a testable thesis. For example, we have psychology. That's perfectly testable. Economics. That's perfectly testable. Heck, you could even test states of mind, such as hope or despair. So the real question is not, is the Bible some sort of scientific textbook or journal? It's rather, does the Bible make truth claims that are testable when we act them out in reality and observe? And the answer to that is yes. See, here's where people try to save the argument. They'll say things like, all that's just a dream, or the Bible's a fantasy, or even a myth. But really, those words don't actually solve the argument. They just delay it. Because there's no functional difference between saying dream and an alternative form of viewing reality. There's no functional difference between saying fantasy and a dream that has been written down so that others can test it and interpret it. There's no difference between saying myth and a fantasy that has been tested across time. So even if the Bible were a myth, every word of it, you could still do several things from it. You could read the stories, and you can extract truth claims about morality, human nature, God, reality. And from those claims, you're able to live as if they're true and observe the results. And at that point, reality becomes the natural judge, not you. So the Bible doesn't need to be reduced to literalism in order to be testable. It just has to make truth claims that touch life. And it makes thousands of those. So let's take a single passage, just one. And I'll even choose a complicated one, so there's plenty of room for discussion or disagreement. Numbers 21:9. And Moses made a serpent of brass, and put it upon a pole. And it came to pass, that if a serpent had bitten any man, when he beheld the serpent of brass, he lived. Now, I'm not going to flatten this into a symbolic reading or a simplistic reading. I'll leave all of the history and the symbolic meaning intact. Instead, I'll show you what I extrapolate from it. Here's the interpretation I draw. The people are poisoned. They're poisoned from their own rebellion. Distraction from this does not heal them. Denial of this does not heal them. However, when they gaze upon the symbol of judgment and reorient to God's path, they are healed. So from this, I can extract a truth claim that is testable for myself. Confession, reorientation to God's path, and disciplined attention to divine truth can neutralize even the deepest of embedded poisons in a person's life. And I'll be clear, I'm not reading poison here in the normal way. I read poison in this manner as lies, false idols, disordered desires, or corrosive narratives that lead people astray. Now, this is a huge claim. But notice something important. If I'm wrong, reality can expose me. A single person doesn't have to. Nature can and will. If someone reads scripture regularly, listens to God's path revealed through it, reorients their life towards that path, holds it over time, and still consistently falls to lies and false idols, or they let that power destroy them, then this claim doesn't pass the test. But if they do hold up over time, if they become stronger in the face of adversity rather than weaker, then maybe it's true. And not because I said so, but because reality said so. So why exactly does this count as a test? Because it seems like I'm extrapolating an awful lot from that. Well, it's because this isn't superstition. This isn't blind faith. This is long-form empirical testing. The Bible doesn't just say, do this once and magic will happen. It says, live this way, walk this way, order your life in this manner, and then watch what grows and what dies. And that's the test. And it's one that can be run by believers, skeptics, and outright atheists alike. So, the next time somebody scoffs at you and says, the Bible isn't scientifically testable, don't argue. Instead, ask them a better question. What kind of tests are you talking about? And how many of the Bible's claims have you actually tried to live out? Because the Bible doesn't ask you to just believe it. It asks to be walked, tested, and judged by reality itself. And that's far more dangerous than a collection of myths.